Welcome to TLC, where we dive into the heart of our local community. It's wineries, restaurants, business, and real estate. Hello, I'm Troy Anderson, along with my co-host Pamela. We're here to bring you a new perspective on what's happening in our community. This week we have a guest, Kimberly Ellertson with the Woodinville Chamber. She's the executive director. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
Did I say your name right?
You ask that every time.
I'm always cocking people's names up.
I hope so.
You've known Kimberly long enough to not get her name wrong.
Right?
There'd be something really wrong if you did.
I'd say, cut.
Yeah. Cut. Although sometimes he gets my name wrong, and I've worked for him for over 2 years. So.
Hey, we're not all perfect.
No,
like you.
I'm not perfect. I never claimed to be perfect.
But Ellertson is it sounds just like it's spelled, but I get it butchered.
I bet.
Get Elbertson.
Elbertson.
There is no B in Ellertson.
Yeah. Kimberly Ellertson.
Yeah,
just
like it
rolls right off the tongue.
Yeah. All right.
Well, welcome to the show. You were our guest, our first guest on season 1. This is now season 2, episode 1. For those following along.
Congratulations on your first season.
Well,
making it to a second season. That's cool.
I know. 35 or 36 episodes in season 1, and this is episode 1 of season 2. Many more to come.
Many more to come.
And you did such a great job that we wanted you to come back.
Oh,
we wanted you to be our first.
I love that. 2. Let's toast to that.
Let's toast. Yes, I opened the wine already.
Good segue. Okay, then. So, all right. You can tell it's been a while.
Yeah.
So, first segment is Sipping on Success, where Troy opens a bottle of wine from a local winery, and we get to taste it, sample it, describe it a little bit for our guests and our listeners.
And try not to bore them to death.
Yeah, and try not to put it all over the table.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you have for us this week, Troy? What delights are you going to entertain us with when it comes to the wine?
Well, over the weekend, I went to Beaumont Cellars over here in the Junction, which is just down the street from our office. You've got Artistry District, which is over by Picnic Table. Mm-hmm. The Artisan District. Artisan. Mm-hmm. See, I can't see anything right. And then the Junction is kind of the little, there's Shake and Go, there's auto repair, there's a brewery, there's a cidery, there's a distillery, and there's a few wineries in there too. And I'd never been to Beaumont Cellars.
Okay, so a good landmark for people is the Shake and Go that's there, and also Locust Cider. So
Locust Cider, yeah.
If anybody's looking for that. So that's where this one is. Okay, I must admit, I've not heard of Beaumont Cellars, so that's my bad. All right, so what do you have exactly from Beaumont Cellars?
I have a 2021 Carmenere, which is it's a cultish kind of varietal.
A cultish?
Cultish varietal.
Okay.
Yeah. Not too many people make it.
Should I be worried that we're having cult wines?
You're joining the cult.
Thank you very much.
Cult following of Carmenere. Got it. Okay.
Carmenere, yes.
Right. So Carmenere, is that the varietal of grape?
It is.
Okay.
It is.
All right, for those that don't know much about wine, like myself, I like to have things described for me. All right, so let's take a quick look at this, and obviously we get to sample it and maybe describe it. So maybe. You never know what's going to happen on this show.
Don't put me on the spot with that one. Yeah. I think I had to do that last time, and I just was real quick on the spot. I'm not sure I have that today.
It smells good.
Does it?
It does.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep, it does. I smell a slight tobacco.
Oh, okay.
But that could be that I'm full of the cold. But there's a hint of tobacco in it. I haven't tasted it yet, but just from the smell, color-wise, it's very deep.
Very dark red,
A little bit of that kind of brick on the outer edge.
On the outer edge, yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, they're tasting. I'm just going to keep talking until somebody jumps in and tells me what they can taste.
I know.
We also didn't say cheers.
Oh, cheers!
Yeah. Okay,
oh, my gosh. Kimberly's keeping us on track here.
Cheers. Cheers to season 2.
Yes.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Well, I think we'll get through this episode.
We might just make it. Yeah. I think, after this many episodes, we should be okay. And if not, then we should give up.
Maybe after a second glass.
Maybe. Absolutely.
It's spicy a little bit.
A little bit spicy, yeah. It's interesting. It's tastes a little young to me, being a 2021. And it's 2024, so.
I like it, though.
I like it, too.
Okay, this is really different from, I think, any of the ones that we tried in season 1. And it could just be my taste buds at the moment, but I smell a tobacco, but I also taste a little bit of licorice.
Oh, okay, yeah, I get that.
You
Black
do?
licorice?
Mm-hmm, yeah. Not so fruity.
Not so fruity. No,
Not
there's
so
a little
fruity.
bit of fruit on the front, and then it just fades away.
The way it spreads across the tongue as well is really different. I know I feel like I'm sitting here talking nonsense, but I'm trying to remember all the other wines that we've tried and how they've kind of, that mouthfeel, I think it is that you talk about. This feels different.
I wonder if sommeliers listen to your podcast
And go, what
Oh
on
my
earth are they
gosh,
talking
what
about?
are they talking about?
But to me, you sound like you make perfect sense. Everything you say, I agree with. I'm like, yes, she's right. So I think you've got this down.
Maybe I need to change careers.
No.
I'll stick to marketing and podcasts.
I love this. What would you drink it with?
I think I would probably drink this with a really kind of creamy pasta dish.
Okay. Like to cut through the pasta almost? Cut through the cream?
Yeah.
Like a heavy Parmesan.
Yeah,
something?
or really thick, creamy garlic sauce with it,
Okay.
spicy Italian sausage in it and lots of veggies. And I'm describing my dinner that I made the other night.
Oh, that sounds yummy.
But yeah.
I can't eat any of that stuff.
Oh, that's right. You're on.
I'm still on my diet.
Okay. Oh well. You get to have a glass of wine. Be
Yeah,
thankful.
I do.
There you go.
I did.
What would you pair it with, Kimberly?
Well, I was gonna actually say I think it's so bold that it could stand up to like a good steak dinner. But then as soon as you started talking about a creamy pasta, I thought, oh no, that'd be better. So
I'm just clearly thinking about what's for dinner tonight. But
Pasta sounds yummy.
yeah, it does.
But yeah, I think it could go with a nice steak, even like a rack of lamb.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. I went to an event at Beaumont Cellars once.
Oh, you did?
It was years ago, but I think it was it was not a chamber event. It was some kind of networking event, and they have a really nice little space too. They have a nice tasting room.
Oh, okay. We'll need to check
They had
that
some
out.
other varietals too that you don't normally see from Washington wine producers, so definitely recommend a visit to them.
Well, especially if you're looking for something a little, I guess, niche really for this area. So, do they have a Malbec?
I think they did.
Okay, because
Yeah.
we talked about this once before.
We
That
did.
there's not many wineries here in the Washington area that do a Malbec.
The Malbec, yeah.
I love a good Malbec.
Right. So, what else are we tasting in this before we finish up this segment? We could look
Radio
at our
silence.
radio silence. Yeah, we don't need radio silence. I need some adjectives, please.
Well, we got the new poster on the wall for those of you watching online. There's a
I know we'll have to do a
flavor poster.
Yeah, we'll have to do a.
That's helpful, but it's behind the guest.
Yeah.
I know. I was just thinking that when you sat down, we need to change positions next time.
Yeah, figure out
That
what.
is so
And you
funny.
can't really read it because it's too small. You have to stand right up to it. But
But yeah, I don't know, barky,
barky, licorice.
barky. It's
Leather.
but it's not like super earthy. It doesn't have
It's
that.
not super
vine-
earthy.
Yeah.
I like the leather representation. It's just, it's very, I don't want to say heavy, but it could stand up to a lot.
Yeah.
I kind of, when you give it a little kind of snifter, I imagine kind of tobacco and bergamot or sandalwood. I
Bergamot, I like
don't really
that.
smell it, but
Yeah.
it kind of evokes that image of that kind of old world smoking room with sandalwood and bergamot.
And some old man in the corner.
Well, hopefully not.
So drinking it in like a library.
There we go.
Yeah,
Yes,
we go.
yes.
Kind of a sophistication feel to it.
Yeah.
That's something
With
different.
velvet walls.
Oh, there you
Velvet
go.
walls, okay,
I
yeah.
like it.
Let's hope that doesn't become a housing trend.
Oh, that's going to be the third section of
Yeah,
today's
yeah,
podcast. Let's talk about velvet walls.
Yeah, they're
All right.
coming back.
Oh gosh,
No,
they're not.
said nobody.
Yeah. Well, keep checking on social media because we do talk about trends in housing and
Yes, for sure.
staging and decoration. But anyway, we're going to continue drinking this wine because it is a really nice bottle. I think it's going to go really well with our conversation and our
Yes.
podcast today. But before we get into all things Chamber of Commerce, we're going to take a really quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be asking those hard-hitting questions. Not really, of the Chamber of Commerce. So
I love it. I'm
stay
ready.
tuned. We'll be right back after this very short break.
This episode of Tend Life Community is brought to you in part by Ferguson Floors, LLC. Hey there, homeowners and home buyers. If you're looking for a real estate team who genuinely cares about your needs, Tend Home Team is here for you. We're not just focused on making sales, but on building long-term relationships with our clients and serving our wonderful community. Whether you're buying or selling, let us guide you through the process and help you achieve your real estate goals. Connect with Tend Home Team today and discover a better way to navigate the market.
Welcome back to TLC Podcast. I'm Troy, and I'm with Pamela and Kimberly Ellertson with the Woodinville Chamber of Commerce, Executive Director. And so, what was I going to say? As we kick off Season 2 here, you are really involved with local business here in Woodinville. And we wanted to know, as the landscape in the business environment continues to change around here, Mullbacks.
Don't make us cry.
I know. Some recent changes. How the Chamber of Commerce has, how have they supported, come alongside the business community as we face these challenges?
Yeah. Well, great question. Thanks for bringing up Mullbacks.
Sorry.
I'm not.
Oh,
You
that's
don't have to
just-
talk about them specifically, but that's the biggest thing that's going to be on people's minds, right?
Yeah, that's been really tough. So as a chamber, our mission is to promote, strengthen, and advocate for business, and that looks so different for every single business. I mean, for a business like you, Troy, you're our board chair. A business like real estate, you want something a lot different than a Mullbacks wants. So really, I think what we do as a chamber, what I hope and I think that we try and do really well, is tailor our approach different for every business, and it's based on what they want and what they need. So you asked about challenges and how we have faced some of those recent challenges. So for example, a lot of the challenges have come with the growth and the development that's occurring in Woodinville, not just
For sure.
downtown, but the Hollywood district.
Yeah.
And I think one of the recent examples was, it falls under our advocacy umbrella. So you were there for this. We had an opportunity, the city council was given the opportunity to have a piece of land gifted to the city that they could use potentially for parking.
Okay.
And there are so many businesses down in that Hollywood district that the number one thing we talk about is the lack of parking.
I think that's the number one thing everyone talks about
Yeah.
Woodinville.
And so I think as a chamber, one of the ways that we excel is advocating when an opportunity like that comes about. So what I mean is we actually had the chance to gather dozens of businesses and attend a city council meeting and get up and speak about the need for parking in the Hollywood district and really advocate on behalf of those businesses to say, hey city, you have this opportunity to take this piece of land and use it for something that will really help our business community and our local community, our residents as well. And I think without, and I don't mean to pat the back of the chamber, but without a chamber or a Woodinville Wine Country or some entity to gather these people, they may not have all shown up at that city council meeting to have the business community voice heard.
Yeah, I mean, I usually hear the other side of the, all the negative stuff about why we shouldn't be gifted a parcel. That voice sometimes comes through a little bit louder.
Okay, so that comes out louder, but why shouldn't, what was the negative response to that?
Just development in general,
Okay.
people that want Woodinville to stay small and
We get it.
stay the way it was, which
Small town feel.
we all like that feel
Yeah.
for sure. We don't want Woodinville to become Redmond Disc.
Yeah, change is hard, but in that case, I think specifically that piece of land was designated commercial. So had the developer not gifted it to the city to use for parking, it would have been developed into something commercial. It was not going to stay a postage stamp of green space.
Right.
Right.
So that piece of the puzzle I don't think really works when you're asking for them to not take this free piece of land, because the opposite would be it would be developed into commercial space.
Sure.
Which just isn't as interesting right now for a developer. So I'd say that's one of the ways that we have helped face recent challenges. The other, and it's kind of along the same vein, is we have a lot of members who reach out to us and have trouble with signage. I mean, just a simple thing like signage, where maybe they weren't able to get a permit on their building for the sign that they wanted, or whatever the case may be. And I think our chamber has formed a really great relationship with the city. So we were given the opportunity from the Development Services Director to actually gather. We did 2 listening feedback meetings at City Hall with the Development Services Director and the team, where our businesses, non-chamber members too, we gathered them at City Hall and they got to talk about what they want to see when the sign code is changed. And it was just, it feels so empowering to be heard. I think businesses love that. And I think we're the conduit to get those people in front of the development services team so that as they're developing that new sign code, they can think about what they heard.
I think what I appreciate about the Chamber of Commerce really is that you do keep your finger on the pulse there, and you're preempting the things that could potentially be stumbling blocks for businesses, and asking the right questions and directing, you know, resources and voices in the right way for businesses, potentially before they become big problems for businesses in this area, where it could then be that new businesses coming in are like, you know what, maybe Woodinville isn't the right area for us, the right catchment place, because we're not, you know, things aren't going the right way for businesses. So I appreciate that the chamber does advocate for that, and really does keep an eye on what's happening now and what could potentially be coming that might scale back on the growth from a business standpoint in our community, because, you know, unless we're growing, we're not thriving.
Right.
So, you know.
Yeah, so true. And our chamber's pretty amazing. We have about 305 businesses that are a part of our chamber, but we're really run. We have a small staff, 6 of us that are all part-time. And we're really run by our board of 15. And it's those board members who reach out and say, hey, have you heard about this? Did you know this was going on? And because I can't be everywhere, my team can't be everywhere. So when you're out on the ground and you come back to us with that information, then we can take action and go do something. Troy sitting on the NERTS advisory group.
Don't
I know we don't
remind
want
me.
to talk about NERTS, but I mean, like, having everybody in their place, I think helps to make us more successul and strong.
Yeah, and I think also it means that I don't think people necessarily realize what a Chamber of Commerce is for. I'm not sure that everybody understands the lengths and the depths that you guys go to with your board and your staff members to really help grow this area.
A lot of people I talk to think that it's part of the city. Or you're,
Yeah, that's
So.
a pretty common misconception.
Yeah.
Most people, and the city gets calls for us on a pretty
yeah.
regular basis. But
I bet.
luckily, I think we are really good partners to the
Yes,
city.
yes.
It's nice to hear that, actually, because you wonder how many other cities work in conjunction with, the city and the Chamber of Commerce. Because let's face it, most cities have a Chamber of Commerce. They all work differently from what I've seen of the few that I've been to. But I wonder how many of them work so closely.
I think
hand in hand.
Woodinville does an exceptional job working with the city. Just the concerts in the park is a really good example of that, of partnership with the city and the collaboration and getting the community together and putting on an event like that that's not chamber related. So,
It's community related. It's
Community
not,
related,
So
yeah.
I like that it's not just you guys are not just business focused. You really do think about the impact of the whole community. So I like that. But Woodinville is known for its entrepreneurial spirit. So if people listening don't know that, we have got so many great entrepreneurs. We've had many of them on this show.
Yeah.
So
it's not just wine out here in
it's
Woodinville.
not
We've
just
got
wine.
other stuff too.
Yeah, we've got plenty. We've got things that people don't really think about. We had Kevin Creekmore on recently. Who owns Molten Glassworks,
Yeah.
right? He is the epitome of an entrepreneur. I mean, you talk to that guy and he's fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
But he's not the only one, and so we want people to realize that it's not just wine, like Troy says. But how does the Chamber of Commerce foster and support local entrepreneurs, particularly in terms of mentorship programs, access to resources, or networking opportunities? Now, I know the answer to some of this, but I'm fascinated to hear what you guys have to say about this.
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right. I mean, that is my favorite part of this job, is meeting and connecting with our business owners and entrepreneurs and hearing their story. And Kevin is a great example. I mean, I had lunch with him a couple weeks ago, and I could just sit and listen to him talk all day. He's so engaging and interesting, and the mind of an entrepreneur is very special. So you listed a few ways. So networking, obviously, that's the easiest one to cover. Our chamber is, I think, phenomenal at networking. We
Yes.
bring people together. That's like our jam. We do
Our events have been jam-packed recently.
They certainly have.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll put our hands up. We go to all of them, right? So the breakfast, the luncheon, the networking nights, the ribbon cuttings, as many of those that we can get to. And I don't think people really understand that that's going on with the chamber. So tell us more.
Yeah, so you just listed them. We have an event almost every week. The networking night is purely casual networking for businesses to get to know one another.
Don't have to be a member to come.
You don't. And a lot of guests have been
Yeah.
coming to that
Yeah.
networking night event. It's a great way to connect.
Yeah,
And then
for sure.
typically they end up joining the chamber anyway because they're like, oh, this is a great group.
Yes.
But I think for entrepreneurs especially, or business owners especially, it's a good warm way to put yourself out there, right? It's like a forced avenue for making new relationships. The breakfast and the lunch, similar. There are networking opportunities of those. So that's something I think most chambers do, is host those member events, but we really focus on making the most for the businesses to engage with one another. You also talked about access to resources, and I think that goes in line with the answer to my first question a little bit. It's so specific to what every business wants, but one example is we're actually a partner with One East Side Spark. So One Redmond, Woodinville Chamber, Kirkland Chamber, a number of us, we which One Redmond does the bulk of this work. We lead what's called One East Side Spark, and it provides opportunities for entrepreneurs. Specifically, we have the Small Business Development Center here in Redmond, and any business owner can go and meet with Sean for free one-on-one consulting if they're starting a business.
No way. That's cool.
It's very cool, and it's free, and it's part of what we offer. No need to be a chamber member, but I think the point in me saying that is that because we appreciate our members because they are paying to help us do all of these programs that we do. So I would say there are lots of resources. It's just a matter of finding what it is that you're interested in. I mean, another example is we have a member who helps businesses when they're ready to sell. And so she's just there for me to help make introductions to. And it's just a fascinating organization where everyone has something that they can provide and offer, and not always with getting something in return, you know?
Right.
That's, I think, a really important piece.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I've probably noticed the most about the people that attend the events at the Chamber of Commerce. They're not always looking for something in return. There's very much a how can I help you attitude,
Sure. Yeah.
which I think is unusual.
I think it is, but I think that I am finding that that's when people make the most of their membership, is when they go in it
That's
with,
when I made the most of my membership, for
right?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was involved for a while, for a while before I got actively involved, and
Right.
I kept expecting the chamber to return business, and that's just
It's
the wrong
not-
attitude.
Yeah, and it's also not that kind of networking. It's
No.
a connection network, I think,
Yeah.
more than a referral-based
Now,
networking.
I get value out of every meeting I go to. So
I meet somebody fascinating every time
Yeah,
I go
for sure.
to chat with.
Well, you brought up a good point. You get value out of every meeting you go to. It might be that so last week we hosted the State of the City with the city manager and the mayor, and it might be worth it to somebody to get the opportunity to sit in that room and hear the state of the city, because then they can go out to their networks and share what they just learned, and all of a sudden they have become the specialist, the person
Right.
in the know. So there's a lot of value I find in that,
being in real estate, that's super important to me, to know exactly what's going on with everything.
having the pulse. Yeah.
Well, and going back to that question
Yeah.
about mentorship, I think you don't need a specific program. The whole thing is a mentorship.
Oh, thanks, Pamela.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about it, it is, because you get an opportunity. Everybody in those rooms has an opportunity to mentor somebody in some way.
Yeah.
So whether that is, a conversation that I might have with somebody about the benefits of talking to a real estate professional for this, or talking to the chamber because they might be able to, mentorship doesn't have to be this, like you're one person, one-on-one with one person all the time. You can mentor people in smaller incremental pieces.
Yeah, I will add to that. We do, there's two things. So we are trying really hard to partner with Woodinville High School's DECA program. That's a new, I would say, avenue that I think is kind of untapped and we need to focus more on. And one of the ways we have done that recently is the DECA students. And for those who don't know, DECA stands for Distributive Education Clubs of America. It's the marketing class at the high school. They are going to the state competition pretty soon, and Paul Glenovich, who's the marketing director, reached out and he said, all right, 3 of my students have presentations. One, I need a CPA I can talk to.
Really?
One is I need somebody focused on social media, and one is I need someone in the hospitality industry. And
Oh,
so I
cool.
got to then reach out to our members, explain the need. They then set up 1-hour consultations with these students where they got to mentor these students. And that's going to help them to succeed. Those students are going to remember this. And then when they go away to school or trade school or wherever they do, hopefully they'll come back to Woodinville. And it's workforce development is the way I look at it.
Yeah.
And it's good for the business too. I mean, I love connecting people.
Yeah.
You know, finding this and connecting that. And
That's why we get along so well.
I
'cause
call it
that's-
cross pollination.
Oh, cross-pollination. I like that.
I like it. Yeah.
So looking ahead, are there any exciting initiatives or projects on the horizon? Any new programs or anything like that we should be aware of?
Yeah, there's one thing I'm pretty excited about. Well, there's lots I'm excited about. There's a lot of programs that we never have enough to do. We always have too much to do. How do you look at that? Glass half full, glass half empty.
Job security?
There is what's called in Washington State the Arts Fund WA helps to
yes.
fund creative districts.
Yes, that's cool.
And we, as a chamber, are sitting on the task force for the potential of a creative district in Woodinville.
Oh.
And it's myself, it's Chris Carino from the Woodinville Repertory Theater, Tori Edwards from the Woodinville Farmers Market is leading it, Adam with Woodinville Wine Country. There's a number of people and some city staff as well. And the concept is to find a place where we can encourage the arts in Woodinville in a physical location and with the intent and the goal to further economic development and tourism.
Cool.
So it's really kind of fun being at the forefront of that and finding how is this going to take shape in Woodinville. So I think it's Edmonds. It's in about 10 other cities in Washington. And in Edmonds, I think it's Main Street. It's one street is their creative district.
Okay.
In Olympia, it's a 1 square mile radius. Every city does something a little bit different, but I think from the chamber's perspective, it's fun to get to envision what will our creative district look like and how then do we bring in more visitors to this creative district that then go out and spend money in our businesses. That's the goal. And that's why the chamber needs to have a seat at the table for that conversation.
okay.
So I'd say that's kind of a initiative.
Is there any idea where that's going to be?
I
Wink, wink.
don't think it's necessarily secret. We are also you may be familiar with the East Trail that goes from Renton to Snohomish, and the Woodinville section of East Trail has just now opened and has a lot of work to be done. It's not paved, it's not lit, there's nothing on it. It's open, you can go take a walk or a jog or a stroll. And there's the idea that the East Trail over behind the fire station where the stakes were just pulled up, that could be incorporated into this creative district. That could be a portion of it.
And the new bridge.
The new bridge. You've probably heard
Which
the
we're
mayor
all excited
talk about.
about.
Yep.
You've probably heard the mayor talk about pickleball courts.
He seems very excited about pickleball.
Yeah, it's all the rage. So the idea would be that could be the start of our creative district, where
Okay.
we bring more public art, we bring more gathering space, we incorporate Wilmot Gateway, which the city
I think that's a good idea.
and the city has, this was back to our first question. The chamber advocated for a permanent stage at Wilmot Gateway Park, and the city passed that last year. And so this year they're starting to work with the Army Corps of Engineers. There's some funding behind it. It's moving.
Yeah.
So we can do
I heard we
more.
just got a grant.
We did? Well, we as in Woodinville, not the
Woodinville,
chamber.
yeah.
But yeah, they have a $250,000 grant for that program, and then the city's putting $100,000 into it.
Well,
so
that's
it's
great.
a start.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Now, just to be clear, this art district is separate from the Woodinville Arts Alliance, right? That's something completely
Great
separate.
question. Yes, actually, I say we, it's not me, it's not the chamber, but this task force is forming a new 501c3.
Oh.
So that new 501c3 would oversee the creative district. The Arts Alliance is at the table. Kevin Creekmore is the representative from the Arts Alliance, but the concept is that it would encompass all things creative. So not just the physical, tangible art, but art in theater form and art in business form. So more of a widespread.
Okay, so
Then-
not necessarily looking at the traditional word of art. It could be spoken art. It could be
Yep.
dance, it could be creative, any of
Well,
that kind
and
of thing.
the stage in Wilmot Gateway Park, that's art. We can do performances there, like music performances that are already exist, but also
We're going to see you up there.
no. I can't do anything artistic.
But more theater.
That's the word I was looking for.
Yes.
Theater, productions, things like that.
Music.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Now, you touched on collaboration with the Woodinville High School and the DECA program, but, can you talk about any collaborations within the community that, collaboration within the community often leads to greater success for businesses. We know this, and we've talked about this many times on the show. But can you share any examples of recent collaborations between the Chamber and local businesses or organizations that have had a positive impact on the Woodinville community, rather than just businesses, but the community as a whole?
For sure. I think this really probably the best example ties into our community events. Celebrate Woodinville and Winterfest. So the most recent would be Winterfest, which was, it's always the first Saturday in December. And collaboration is paramount there. I mean, we would not be able to do this just as a chamber or even a chamber and city, but we collaborate and partner with the Wooden Creek Village area, the District Flats area, all of TRF, Downtown Woodinville LLC.
Which is Hagen's.
Which is Hagen. We put
Shopping
all of
center.
this together with the collaboration. I mean, everybody is taking care of different vendors and performers and pieces to make this day great. And that does both, Pamela. It helps the businesses because we bring thousands of people downtown that day. I mean, some of the businesses have told me that is their highest sales day of the year, is
Really?
that day. But then also the community. I mean, just the joy that people have getting to come downtown and see the tree lighting and be together. I think tangibly, like, we all missed that togetherness during the pandemic, and people being back together is where we all thrive, right? So that's the easiest example, is those community events. But there's some other examples too. We collaborate every year. Our board chooses a different beneficiary for our Raise the Paddle of our auction. And in the last few years, one of the collaborations was with the Scholarship Foundation of North Shore. We increased our scholarship to $5,000, and the last year raised over $21,000.
Wow.
The year before, we collaborated with the Woodinville Storehouse Food Bank, and we raised $55,000.
That was huge.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That
Wow.
was incredible. This year, our auction is coming up. This year, we will partner with the North Shore Schools Foundation, specifically the Removing Barriers Fund. And that removes any type of barrier. It might mean that you don't have a backpack to go to school, and the foundation supplies you with a backpack. It might mean you can't go to the state DECA competition because you can't afford the entry fee, and so the foundation pays the entry fee. So that's who we'll raise the paddle for this year. And I think that's also both. That's a collaboration with a nonprofit, or where the business can get involved in whatever way they see fit, and ultimately it's helping the community.
Yeah, we had Cara on a few episodes ago, and she was talking about
I didn't know how that program works, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
The way that they do that, and it's discreet. So
it is discreet.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just finding that need
Right.
that people have and trying to fill that gap the best way that they can. Yeah, it's great. Now, wonderful as Woodinville is, the community and its residents take pride in its small town feel. We talked about that a little while ago with the whole development side of things. But it does still have a small town feel, but with big business appeal. At least we like to think so, right? And I think that's probably a true enough statement. But while the Woodinville Chamber of Commerce is fundamentally there to help further the interests of small businesses in the local area, we can't help but notice that the value that the Chamber brings to the community with its events and initiatives, and you've talked about a few of those. You've talked about the fun runs that you do, the tree lighting. But with all of that in mind, what does the Chamber have planned for 2024? Is there anything new for the community at large to know about? Is there anything that you're adding into? Not that we want to put more work on your plate, because you guys do a
Thanks,
phenomenal job. But
I think we're going to do more 5Ks,
No,
right?
no.
That's an inside joke.
Are you going to run, Troy?
More swag bags.
More swag bags, yeah.
there are no new community events that the Chamber is putting on in 2024, but every year without fail I see on Facebook, I didn't know there was a parade this weekend. I think that our mission is just to continue to grow these incredible events, and we've done that slowly year after year, but I think last year we saw over 2,000 people at each of our Celebrate Woodinville Wednesday night concerts.
Yep, they were. It was incredible.
Yeah.
In a good way.
In a good
In
way.
a good way, very good way, yeah.
And then our festival day obviously was enormous. So we're just fine-tuning each year. So Celebrate Woodinville will kick off again. This year we're kicking off the Glow Run a little earlier. It'll be June 28th. That's the Celebrate Woodinville Glow Run 5K. Then go into the 4 Wednesday night concerts, and then the festival, which will be Saturday, August. I don't have my
Yeah,
We
yeah,
we won't hold you to it. It's fine. You can find that information on the website.
WoodinvilleChamber.com.
Yeah, exactly.
And then .org. And then Winterfest will take place again, of course. You know, we're always trying to figure out how we can best partner with other entities, and can we do more. It's just, I'm very careful, and our board is very careful not to take on something that we're not going to do really well.
And we've sat down several times and been presented with things, and it's interesting how you have to funnel it back through the mission statement.
Right.
And
Yeah, that's exactly
you
true.
do a really good job at that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I think there's only so much time in the day, and we do a lot of things really well, but if we continue to if we have mission creep, then those things aren't done so well anymore.
Mission creep, I like that.
Yeah, I like it. I just want the listeners that maybe know about those programs that you already do. If they're asking the question, well, why can't we do more? There's your answer, people. It's because the Chamber wants what they do produce to be run well and be received well and continue to grow. And
They've changed over the years. I mean, they've grown, but they've also changed.
They've
so
adapted
they're different.
with the community and what with a response to what the community needs are. And I think you guys have done a really good job of that. And I've been to the Concert in the Park series when it first started, and then I went again last year. I've been periodically in between, but huge difference to the way it was presented and run and what was available, and really the joy that surrounded that when people were just having
Everyone's so happy. I love seeing that.
And we have grown, in terms of, like, we added the 5K run at summer, we added the 5K run at winter. We have grown the events by adding more opportunities for businesses and more opportunities for the community to what already exists, I guess, would be a good way of saying
I think
it.
it also keeps it special when you're not overreaching and trying to put too many things out for too many different, avenues of things to do, but just growing and saying, what else can we add on to what we're already doing? I think it feels fresh every year.
I think the other piece I would love to mention is we feel really strongly about supporting other entities that are doing events of this nature, and how can we best support them. So, for example, Rich McKee and the Woodinville Car Club, how can we best help you if we're not going to be the ones producing this? We can help get the word out. We can, all of the ways that I think we do a really good job, we're there for other entities to help them spread the word.
And we helped the Art Alliance do the Oktoberfest, which was the first.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
so that's, I think, a better avenue for us.
Yeah, well, it goes back to, like you said, your mission of helping other people or other entities, other businesses grow and thrive and survive, right? So, and you may not be able to do bigger events, but you are funneling your resources into helping other people do what they need to do.
Yes.
More 5Ks.
More 5Ks.
Try.
We get you running on a 5K. How about that? Maybe I'll start training ready for the next one. We'll see.
Oh, that's awesome. So, well, the premise behind this show is to share with our audience everything that is great about our community, and hopefully we've done some of that so far. We always like to end the show, or not to end the show, end the segment with some gems, some hidden gems that Kimberly has found since our last meeting here on episode 1, season 1, season 2, episode 1 today.
Yep. It's easy for you to say.
Not a tongue twister.
Yeah. So are there any cool places you've been to recently that were fresh?
That's a hard one as the director of a chamber with 300 businesses.
Not to make your life difficult or anything.
I'm going to pick a park.
There you go. That's what I should thought. Okay, I was thinking about this ahead of time, and I think that Does everybody know that Tart by Heritage, which is Chef Brie of Heritage's bakery, now has some tables inside? So for the first year of her business, she wasn't able to have tables, and now she does. So you can go and grab a coffee and actually sit
That's
down
nice.
and enjoy a coffee with a friend, which I think is kind of fun.
I sat on the patio, but this time of year is not so fun.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
now there's a view inside. The other, have you been to Glass Distillery?
Only for the ribbon cutting.
For the ribbon cutting. So Glass Distillery is over in the
By
West
Vaughn's, right?
Valley. Mm-hmm. And they have the most incredible art collection. So you will go into Glass Distillery, you'll see what you see, but even look out the windows, and there are art installations
Oh, really?
outside the windows, in between the hedges.
That's right. He has like something in the entryway too.
Something in the entryway. It's
Yeah.
it's very cool. And then in that same complex, I think Vaughn's and Northwest Spirits are right over there. And I had dinner at Vaughn's the other night and had never ordered, I can't think of the name of it. I think it was called Skinny Bitch.
You can't say that. This is
I-
a family show.
Can I not say that?
can say
That's
it.
the name of the drink.
I'm not going to bleep it out. It's fine.
But it was this drink that comes out with this spun sugar on top.
Oh.
And then they pour the drink over it, and the spun sugar dissolves, and the ice cube lights up and starts flashing hot
No
pink.
way.
It was like a show.
cool.
Yeah. So
They've got the
Wow.
spin the wheel thing over there too.
The
So
Waggerin wheel, I think it's called. Is that sounds about
it's like
right?
$5 margaritas or something. Like
Oh,
you can't get
wow.
anything for $5 anymore. Not even
actually,
a coffee. At
I'm
Starbucks.
glad you brought that up. Lifted Taco. They have happy hour almost
Okay.
every night of the week. They have a ton of different happy hour specials, and they have $5 margaritas and $5 mojitos.
No way.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I've only
Yes.
been to Lifted Taco once, and the food was phenomenal. So I might have to try that out. Might have to take my husband.
That's my third place down there, Wooden
Oh,
Creek.
is it?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, I know Vaughn's must be. We've kind of gone off that
Yeah,
tangent
no.
here, but Vaughn's is obviously quite popular because I tried to get a table a couple of weeks back and they were full.
Yeah. So I guess that's not really a hidden gem, but just that.
No, but if you
drink.
haven't been,
If you
go.
haven't been, yeah.
Yeah.
Glass Distillery.
Mm-hmm. Well, don't we have a networking night at Glass Distillery coming up?
We
with
do.
the Woodinville Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
I think it's April 7th.
Yes.
Is that right?
I think you might be right.
Okay.
Okay.
Look at
Yeah.
you.
I was just putting it all in the calendar, all of our
Okay.
networking events with the chamber.
I know. Although Troy, I like your idea better. Let me tell you about some hidden gems of some parks.
Yeah,
That's what I
you-
should have done. It's hard.
Are you going to go through the other
I
298?
know. I'm going to. Let me
Yeah,
pull
yeah,
out the.
yeah.
If people are interested, though, I really do want to say that one of the best parts of our chamber is just the support that people provide to one another. So I love nothing more than when someone emails me and they say, hey, I'm looking for somebody that can do my taxes. Do you have a chamber member? Or I need a house painter. Do you have a chamber member? I just think that is so cool when that's the first thing that people think to do, because that's how we thrive, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
if
love
we
it.
don't have a chamber member, then I still help them find someone in Woodinville so that
Right.
we
There's
can think
probably
local.
somebody in the chamber who knows somebody else who's maybe not quite
And
in
then
the
you
chamber
can call
yet.
them and say, hey, I just recommended you.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm from the chamber.
I think that's great. I
No,
think
I
there's
think
so
it's
much to recommend the Chamber of Commerce and Woodinville as a whole.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love it here.
Yeah.
I love it here too.
Just
Oh.
glowing, glowing, glowing.
All right. Well, I think that kind of brings us to a draw. We don't want to put you in the hot seat anymore, but
Yeah.
we're going to take a really quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to throw Troy in the hot seat with
Oh
the
my
real
gosh.
estate roundup. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after this really short break.
It's been over 30 years since my dad opened Ferguson Floors right here on the east side, helping homeowners with flooring. But it's not just about flooring, because there's a difference when you care about what you do. It's in kindness and respect. It's in honesty and a firm handshake. My name is Bryce Ferguson, and we're committed to it again every single day, right here at Ferguson Floors. Find us on the east side at www.fergusonfloors.com.
Welcome back to TLC Tend Life Community podcast with your host Troy Anderson. I'm the co-host Pamela, and we have a wonderful guest, Kimberly Ellertson from the Woodinville Chamber of Commerce. She's their fantastic executive director. I think the last 10 years.
Fantastic.
Well,
No.
I've been at the chamber for 10 years, but executive director for about 4.
Okay, all right. Well, you should have been there for 10.
I was going to say, we tried to get her before that.
So anyway, before the break, we were having a great conversation about everything Woodinville and the Chamber of Commerce and what a fantastic role you guys play in the business community and the community at large. But now it's time to put Troy on the hot seat with
Yes.
the real estate roundup. Are you ready for this, Troy?
It's been a while. so,
Okay,
yeah, but
well, let's hope you're prepared then. All right, so in this segment, I usually have a question for Troy, and sometimes he knows what it is ahead of time, sometimes he doesn't. We'll find out
I
this
just
week.
looked
when he
at it
knows.
just a minute ago.
Okay, so he didn't know ahead of time. All right, so what are 5 things I would want to know if I was buying a home in this particular market?
Well, I would say that the media, stop following the advice of the media. The headlines are clickbait. They tend to, you could find the opposing argument from any headline if you just Google it. So the second is hire a good real estate agent that knows the market, specifically the area you want to transition to, whether it's buying or selling. Having a good agent that knows the community, is involved with the city. I'm just plugging myself here.
That's okay, so sure you can do that.
It's very true, though. You're not
Well-
saying anything that isn't true.
If you
But-
don't know the market that you live and work in, how can you help somebody else find their dream home?
Yeah, I mean, there's, I don't know how many agents there are in Woodinville, but there's, 3 or 4 that are involved with the chamber, and those are definitely the people that I would go to for any sort of information. And, we network together as agents too, so collaboration, hiring a good agent that knows other agents too, because
It's a network and referral
Oh,
business.
for
isn't
sure,
it?
for sure, and especially if you're not finding what you're looking for. In
Right.
this particular market, we are so short on inventory. I spend my time networking with other agents to know what they have coming up. Who they've met with, who's in their database that might be interested in selling in the area that that we have a client that wants to purchase in, or vice versa.
Yeah.
So
I want to come back to the headlines in the
Yeah,
media really quickly, because I think one thing that people might not understand, you talked about clickbait with those headlines, but I think what people also need to understand is the media's not talking about our local market.
no.
Can you
It's
kind of
like-
expand on that just a
Well,
little
it's
bit?
like a weather forecast for the United States is going to be sunny and 70 today. That doesn't
Yeah.
definitely doesn't
Not
work
here.
around here very
It's
often.
raining. Surprise, surprise.
So yeah, national headlines are kind of like a national forecast. It's just that doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's an indicator that's maybe 50,000 feet, and you need to drill down to more of the 10,000 or the ground level of what's going on in your local market. And we've had a change. 2023 was kind of a slower year in real estate because the number of homes were off that sold was about 30 to 40% down, depending on what you look at. But we saw the switch turn on in January,
Right.
where the market started to come back. We're having 150 people through open houses. We see multiple offers on the properties that are in good condition and priced well. So yeah, listening to the media is going to be like looking in the rearview mirror and trying to drive down the road.
Okay.
It's-
All right. All right. Number 3. Look a little lower.
Look a little lower. In a competitive market, we are seeing properties sell for over asking price.
Right.
When we're starting to see that come back. I looked at one just a few minutes ago that was listed at $629 and it sold for $657. So,
Right.
If you're looking up to $650, you might want to look a little bit lower.
Okay.
Is what I mean by that.
Right. So the idea behind that then is knowing where your ceiling is, looking below so that you can bid up
Yeah.
to that point and not feel like you're
And not be
next.
disappointed by losing out on offers and things like that. There's, no one wants to overpay for a house. If prices continue to go the way they're going, we're seeing them rise. So there's, it's going to be a choice of buy a house or not buy a house.
Okay. That's a good idea, actually. Looking below what your budget is, I think most people probably go in thinking, this is where I'm comfortable or what I can afford, and that's where they start, and that probably leads to a lot of disappointment.
Yeah, for sure. And there's different loan programs out there too. I've seen kind of a resurgence in the FHA loan programs, where the last couple properties we've sold were actually FHA loans, which had a better competitive interest rate than a conventional loan.
Okay.
They do have some other things that can be more expensive depending on your situation, but
Like PMI.
yeah, the built-in mortgage insurance, and it doesn't really go away. You used to be able to get it to come off.
Oh, you can't do that anymore.
No.
Okay, so you used to. Kimberly's looking. So the it's mortgage insurance basically, and you used to, if you didn't have 20% to put down,
Right.
you'd have to pay a premium every month, and after you could pay it once you got to that 20%, you could pay it off, right?
Yes, as soon as you
Can't
had
do that anymore?
20% equity or could prove you had 20% equity,
I
then you
remember
could do that.
My husband and I bought our first house when we were 22.
Good for you.
Wow.
Well, we had no
That was
business.
last year?
We, I remember this very. I remember the realtor at the time saying, "Okay, we need $5,000 earnest money," and we were like, "We
what's
don't have
that?
$5,000," so we had to borrow earnest money from
Really?
my parents.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah.
But you made it work, right?
Well, yeah, we did.
We won't talk about that, AJ.
All right.
I should have talked to you about that beforehand in the process.
She
This is the
probably did. We
process.
were 22.
Oh, okay.
You thought
All
you
right.
ruled the world.
Yeah.
All right. So FHA loans is another way for people. We're seeing a resurgence of that, which kind of disappeared for a while. Is there any particular person any demographic that should be looking at FHA loans, or is it just kind of across the board?
Just across the board, definitely look at different loan programs. There's more loan programs out there now than there are houses available. So
Okay. All right. So number 4, don't be afraid to walk away.
yeah, so if there's something that comes up in the inspection, if something you don't know that you found out about the house, just don't be afraid to walk away. It's it's not your job to make your agent happy.
I think that's a great way to look at it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And understand what your contingencies are that
Yeah.
are in place before you submit an offer. Right?
Yeah, as we see multiple offers, contingencies tend to go away, so make sure you know exactly what you're getting into. But if you have a contingency that you can walk from, don't be afraid to.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then number 5,
What's number 5?
it's not just about price.
It's not just about price. So, yeah, I mean, like I touched on this a little bit, that when it comes to getting a house, you have specific needs and wants, and the price when you're looking back, say 10 years from now, the price is going to be irrelevant to the type of features that you wanted at the time to raise your family or do whatever you want to do. You're downsizing, you're tired of stairs, you're tired of living in a condo, having people above and below you, or whatever your situation is. That the price is not going to matter the farther you get away from it. So
Okay.
just getting into a property and taking your goals to the next level, it should be the focus.
Okay. Can I add one more to this list?
You're throwing these at me. It's
Well,
been a
no,
while.
I'm just going to add a point to it, not
Okay.
not ask you another question, but also, and this is just something I've learned from talking with Troy, just about the housing market in general, and a few other, whether it's our lenders that we talk with, but I would say another thing to remember is you don't necessarily have to look for your dream house now. I would say, get into a home that you can afford. You can build your equity and move into that forever home
Sure.
later on down the line. That would be just one other thing that I would add, in my humble opinion.
Well, thanks for that. And that actually brings up a point that I talk to people if they're just starting their real estate journey. It's like, have you thought about buying a duplex? Have you thought about buying a multifamily property? You can get into those. Of course, they're going to be a little bit more expensive, but you're going to have rent to offset your payment.
Right.
And then when you're ready to move into the dream house,
Yeah.
you'll have an investment property already.
Yeah.
And you bought it as an owner-occupant, which has loan benefits
Yeah.
that investment property doesn't. So if you're to go out and buy a house that you're going to live in, you're going to get a better loan than if you were to go buy a house or buy a property strictly for investment.
But also, I mean, if the idea of investing, like traditional terms of investing in real estate, scare you, the duplex and stuff, consider buying a townhouse or a condo or something like that, smaller than what you really would like to have, but maybe, you can see yourself living in for a few years while you build, and then you can move that next stepping stone and that next stepping stone.
Where were you guys when I was 22?
I just kind of land on the investment side all the time for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I like to play devil's advocate
Yeah.
and just, both sides for everybody. Because there's those
It's-
people that you have no qualms about thinking in investment terms on properties, but there are other people that think about it really as their castle.
Sure.
And that, you know, it's scary to think about buying a duplex, and, you know, I mean, it's not
Yeah,
as scary
sure.
if you have someone like Troy to talk to, but, you know, I like to just spread the information about.
Lots of options.
Lots of options. I
Yeah.
appreciate that perspective.
Okay. All right. Well, this was a fun show. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for
it was
coming in
fun.
and
Thank
chatting
you.
with us again. So if people want to find out more information about the Woodinville Chamber of Commerce, or if they want to sign up and become a member, where can they find you?
Well, woodinvillechamber.org.
Org.org.
CelebrateWoodinville.com when that season rolls around.
Mm-hmm.
And our office is open Monday through Thursday, 10 to 3. And we love when people come in and visit us. So
Okay.
anytime, we're here. And, you know, I want to also say there are businesses who are not members, and we are here to promote and strengthen all of Woodinville business in the region.
Mm-hmm.
We just really do appreciate the support of our members, and that's what keeps us running.
Yeah.
That's
And I would
awesome.
say if you are a business owner or thinking of starting a business in the Woodinville area, come and check out some of the networking events, especially the
Yes.
networking night, because you'll get to see the caliber
Mm-hmm.
of people that are really involved with the chamber and business community as a whole. So
We had standing room only at the last one, which was cool.
Yeah.
And
I-
the people that have they're afraid to talk to other people. It's really, really, really easy.
Yeah.
So many people are so friendly.
Yeah.
You know, there's
Yeah.
I think so too. We just had a woman business join this week, and I had a lovely call with her. She went to our last luncheon,
Okay.
which is a little more formal.
Yeah.
And she said she's been to many, many chamber luncheons, and it was by far the most comfortable and welcome she had ever felt. And she joined the next day online.
cool.
So
That's
that was a
fantastic.
really, it's just good to hear that we're
There's
making a difference.
there's members like myself that see those people that look like they have deer, deer in the headlights. Look when they come in, and you're like, oh, I need to go talk to that person.
yeah, it's not hard to just walk up to someone and say, hi, my name is, and is this your first time?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's a great way to just make anybody feel welcome. So,
Yeah.
all right. And if people want to find out why they should be buying a home in this market, or where they should be putting their money, Troy, where do they find you?
Tendhometeam.com is probably the best spot, or 206-504-3660. Call or text.
All right. Well, that's
Porch Founder.
okay. You had to get it in.
Yeah.
I was hoping that we could get away with.
I didn't forget. I didn't forget.
Season 2, and he's already off with.
You have to wait till the
Porch
end this time to do Porch
Okay.
Founder, which we're not drinking.
We're definitely not. All right. So if you enjoyed the show, please don't forget to like and subscribe on all major podcast platforms, or you can check out the video of this episode on our YouTube channel, which is
Yep.
Tend Home Team. Please don't forget to subscribe and follow. And
Ding the dinger.
ding the dinger. There you go. All right. Till next
Thanks,
time,
everybody.
Thank
you.
Are you in the market for a new home or looking to sell your current one? Tend Home Team is here to help. As community-focused real estate agents, we are dedicated to providing personalized service and support throughout the entire process. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or a seasoned pro, we've got you covered. Let us take the stress out of your real estate journey. Contact us today at Tend Home Team and learn more about our services.